Okay, I can tell that having Comcast as my only option for an ISP in this apartment is gonna get old really fucking quickly. Wow. Okay, this is... How the fuck does the rest of America deal with this shit? I got Fios where I live in New York City. How the Oh my god, I feel bad for you people. I feel fucking horrible. Okay, so where was my... I don't even know where my rant cut off. So back to where that rant was before it cut off. And not everybody is going to be suitable to do every single job. At the end of the day, it comes down to if I have 100 people walk in, is this a job where I could have... Where if I spent a half hour with, let's say, 50 of you, that you would be able to do that job 100%. And if it is, it's partially low skill. And I really do think that the appeal of those type of statements comes from two things. The first is the fact that it is incredibly, really, really just insulting and aggravating to get paid absolute garbage at a job where you are treated like a piece of trash, which, let's face it, is a good portion of modern jobs. And B, the fact that, admittedly, at the end of the day, you're appealing to somebody's vanity to some extent when you make the assertion that there is no such thing as a low-skilled job. It's one of those things where it's like, it's something that you want to believe, you know? For instance, like, I'll give you an example of a statement like that. When somebody says, looks don't matter, it's what's inside that counts, right? You're right, of course, looks don't matter, it's what's inside that counts. Come on, man. Like, there's a reason that there are pictures in the Tinder app. There's a reason that Tinder is even an app. People care about looks. I mean, you could make up whatever you want. You could be mad at it. You could say it's immoral. You could say it's unethical. People care about looks in their partner. I mean, it's biologically how we're made. And it really makes me mad when people ignore reality to say things that they know are going to get claps and Instagram likes out of people when it's just fucking fundamentally not true. Again, like, we can advocate to treat people better and all these other things, but it doesn't make sense to me to try to get to the goal of treating people better by living in a fantasy world. I think that we can live in reality. I think it's very possible to live in reality, to accept that the world is the way it is, and but also not treat people like shit. Like, I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Comcast is fucking shit. This is absolute gutter trash. Okay, it claims 35 megabit per second up at 8 megabit per second. Check this out. So not only could it not handle 8 megabit per second up without dropping, it actually fucking rebooted my router.
Sweet mercy.
You're getting rewarded for doing less and penalized for doing more. No, this is just having Comcast. I'm not kidding. Like, my Wi-Fi, it didn't even see it as a network, so I went upstairs and I noticed that my router rebooted. My router rebooted itself while doing an 8 megabit per second stream. That's fucking... Oh my god, Comcast. You are black-pilled. I'm not black-pilled. It's some piece of shit. Oh my god. Money sometimes is worth more than looks. That too. Again, I'm not saying that it's everything, but what I'm saying is that when you just pretend, like, when you just say things like that and you just pretend that reality doesn't exist because you know it's going to get the appeal of people that are like, yeah, it fundamentally bothers me. That's why we pay $350 a month for clear wave communication fiber. You are pink-pilled. Pink-pilled? What are you talking about? Our internet sucked until we bought our own router and we have Comcast. What happened to your previous stream? Comcast. Comcast cable. Comcast One. I have Fios at home. I have, like, this is shit right here. This is absolute shit right here. But it is what it is. What are you gonna do? Literally this or dial-up. Let's see. Was YouTube smart enough to combine this into the same stream, or did it actually make a new video? That would be lame if it made a new video, because that pisses people off when you spam their feed. Let's see. What did YouTube do? What did you do, YouTube? I can't even load the YouTube page while streaming at the same time. Bruh. Oh, this is going to be painful. New York City with Fios or New Hampshire with Comcast? I'll be honest with you, this is going to be a difficult one. This is going to be a difficult choice. Can I run an Ethernet cable from my apartment to here? Nobody cares, Charles. Nobody cares. Yeah, that can explain bandwidth. That would not explain how the router would actually reboot itself. I'll wind up looking through the settings in it later. I'm going to turn everything off. 25 per hour is inflation from the 80s. Billionaires have you everyday people in a chokehold thinking fast food workers should be paid with respect. Well, the thing that I believe, and again, I know a lot of people are going to find this insulting, is that I think if 50% of the fast food restaurants in this country shut down tomorrow, that nobody would even care. It gets one of those things where they say, well, how much do we honestly need those? Again, here's the thing. The thing with capitalism is that people will say what they want, they'll say what they need, they'll say what needs to be, but when you ask them to pay for it, you'll figure out if they actually like it. Like, for instance, I remember when people would say, Lewis, I wish you did RAM upgrades on the new touch bars. Why don't you do RAM upgrades? I'd love to pay you. And then I wound up doing the research to figure out what the chips cost. And this was back in the early days. And I figured out that to get 16 gigabytes of RAM for the touch bars was about $179. So for this to be worth my while, when again you're doing a soldering job, there's a chance of killing the CPU, blah blah blah. It was like probably around $350. So I end up telling people, if you want a 16 gigabyte upgrade, it's somewhere between $350 and $400, and they go, oh hell no, what? And it's like, yeah, the RAM is going to cost me over $200. I have to order a spool that's like thousands and thousands of chips in order to even buy it. They're not going to, this company's not even going to entertain my order unless I buy 1 or 2 or 3,000 chips. So this is really required to make this even remotely worthwhile. And this is, again, it is a soldering job. I do have to also change a strap on the motherboard in order for it to work. Well, it requires an experienced technician. And I kid you not, I have had one customer show up for this service. One customer. And that's one of those things where, again, if you say, okay, everybody at a fast food restaurant should make 25 or 35 bucks an hour, listen, I understand where you're coming from. Trust me, I do. It's hard work. I get it. But I think if 50% of the fast food restaurants in America shut down, I don't think most people would even care. While watching several of your longer repair videos on the live random channel, I wrote over 3,000 words 2 days in a row. What type of book are you writing, Anne? What are you writing? I'm very curious. Because, again, most fast food restaurants, they're fundamentally unhealthy. They're fundamentally unhealthy. You're not getting good food. You're not really eating something that's good for your body. Oftentimes, it doesn't even taste good. The people that work there are miserable. I mean, if you make it like where there's a minimum wage of 25 an hour, I think most of them would disappear. And again, at the end of the day, that may not even be a bad thing. But the thing is, you know what sucks more than making 14 bucks an hour? There's one thing that sucks more than making 14 bucks an hour. Are you ready? It's making zero. Making zero is one of the few things that sucks more than making 14 bucks an hour at a shitty restaurant. Like, truly. Spectrum charter speeds have been sucking lately. Don't say the word charter in front of me, please. Puppy Comcast. $69 a month for symmetrical gigabit fiber. You actually have to call Comcast with their gigabit plan to figure out that the upstream is 35 megabit per second. They don't publish it on their website. They know that if they publish this on their website, that people would laugh at them. Rightfully so. Why aren't you getting into real estate? I bet you make effing bank during the pandemic. No, I don't understand real estate, and I try to avoid putting money in things that I don't understand. I don't know how to run it. I don't understand it. I think a lot of people like to say, well, there's a lot of money in real estate. You can get rich in real estate. Why don't you get into real estate? And it's like, you realize it's more than just, pressing a button. You actually have to know what you're doing. I write political military thrillers. Think Tom Clancy, Brad Thor, Vince Flynn. I've never read either of those, but I'd like to. I want to read your book when it's done, Anne. I will buy your book when it's done. The problem with fast food jobs is it's not hard work. It's just shitty like landscaping. Anyone can do these jobs, so why pay more? Well, the thing is, again, when you say anyone can do these jobs, the thing that's crazy about McDonald's is, again, I wish my business ran as good as McDonald's. They figured out how to essentially have a business where 16-year-old stoners run everything. 16-year-old potheads that get C's and D's in school run McDonald's. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's run by teenage potheads. Like, that's a hard thing to do. It quite surprised me when I first came to the U.S. and see how important the tips are. Sometimes I don't have enough for tipping, and I feel so bad. I mean, it really depends on the circumstance. Like, if I go someplace and I pay $30 for one person, like a really lame meal, and the person really just hates their job and hates their life, like, I'm not tipping you. But, like, if I go someplace where, you know, it's a decent experience, the person's nice, like, I don't mind giving them $5 or $10. I avoid making tipping decisions based on whether or not I believe it's required because the owner of the business isn't paying the person. I usually just base it on the experience that I have. The thing with inflation and wages not catching up with it, this is the thing I covered in an earlier video, is essentially at some point it's like, I'm trying to figure out a way to put this that doesn't frame me as a selfish asshole, but I don't think it's possible. How is it a business owner's fault that the government fucked up the currency, you know? Like, here, I'll give you an example. Let me just give you an example. So I do MacBook repair, right? MacBooks have not gone up in price. MacBooks cost as much now as they did 5 or 10 years ago, right? So when most consumers do is they look at what is the cost of a new one versus what is the cost of fixing mine, and then they make the decision. That's how everybody makes their decision. They have a percentage in mind of what it would cost to purchase a new one, and then they have what it costs to fix their current one. So the amount of money a consumer is willing to spend to fix their MacBook has not gone up. In fact, because their housing costs have gone up and their grocery bill has gone up, the amount of money that they're willing to pay to fix their MacBook has actually gone down, because everything else has went up in their life. So I can't raise my prices. If I raise my prices, I will lose that customer because that equation has not changed. Again, they have a limit. Here's how much I'm willing to spend. This, on average, this percentage of what it costs to purchase a new one is what I will spend to fix my current one. So I can't raise my price. But the government fucked up the currency. And because the government fucked up the currency, but now I'm screwed. And like I completely understand why people would look at me and say, you're an asshole. Why are you not raising wages with inflation? And one of the things that I would say is, why are you fucking up the currency to begin with? It's one of these things that kind of goes back and forth. And don't get me wrong, I don't blame my customer. When one of my customers says, listen, Lewis, my grocery bill used to be, I don't know, $600 a month, now it's $800. My rent used to be $1,800, now it's $2,000. I need help, I can't afford. Like, I understand where they're coming from, I really do. And I understand why they don't want to fucking pay more money. It's not unfair to them. It's not, like, I don't see that as unfair at all when they're making that request. It's just, it really puts you in between a rock and a hard place. Fuck Comcast, my $69 fiber connection is glorious. Thank you, Anonymous. Actually, no, fuck you, Anonymous. Fuck you all for bragging about your goddamn fiber connections. I miss Fios. I love Fios. It never did this. There's no drop frames with Fios. Comcast is such shit. It really is. It's such shit. So the 100-employee mandate goes in effect today. This should be a very interesting week. Bro, you want to talk about a labor shortage. No minimum wages, take what you're worth. Minimum wages creates a price floor plus some UBI, subsidized healthcare. And before inflation, buy crypto. I don't know about that. I don't know about the whole crypto thing. It really just seems like a consensual Ponzi scheme at this point. I was reading a book a while ago, before I did the move, and it was going over minimum wage in South Africa in the early 1930s and how minimum wage in South Africa in the 30s was actually used as a racist method to keep black people from getting work. That's not how it's used now, but it's very interesting to read that, because one of the things that I remember reading about voter ID is voter ID in and of itself is not bad, but what makes it bad is the fact that you had certain areas of the United States that specifically asked, what type of ID do black people use? Oh, this is the type of ID black people use in this area? Okay. Let's not allow this so you could vote. So the idea was that voter ID itself is not bad. It's the manner in which it was implemented and the fact that it was implemented with a racist intention that in specific areas of the country made it a bad policy. So it's interesting with minimum wage. Minimum wage itself is not a bad policy, but there are particular parts of the world where it was implemented in a manner to try and keep certain people from being able to be employed. I didn't know that. Like, I really had no idea. They should pay more. It is called a living wage. I mean, Again, people pay what something is worth. Like, I don't pay a janitor $30 an hour because I don't need a janitor. I tell every one of my staff members, including myself, spend 5 minutes a day cleaning up after yourself. Now, I could hire a janitor, but it just doesn't make sense. It's like, why is it worth it? Like, explain to me how a janitor being here is actually going to make it worth it. You know, there are just lots of, like, again, when it says pay a living wage, they should pay more. It's called a living wage. Like, at the end of the day, there's just, oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I apologize. You're talking about, this is what happens when I'm behind in chat so much. You're talking about the example of the restaurant that pays like shit. Yeah, again, when it comes to tipping, it's not on you to pay them. Like, again, it's up to the business to figure out how to be profitable and how to pay people. Like, it's not up to you as a customer to figure out how to make a business model work. So please, you shouldn't feel guilty about that. My apologies, unbroken. I forgot my train of thought because I'm 5 minutes behind in chat, and I forgot what you were responding to. I thought you were responding to what I was saying before. This one's for the cat. Has he tried smoked salmon, or is that too oily? He's never tried smoked salmon, but he does love greenies. Mr. Erica did give him tuna once, but he loses his shit. He becomes a crackhead. Yeah, my apologies, unbroken. I was responding to the wrong thing. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, again, I don't feel guilty simply because you weren't able to pay extra to a business's employee. That's really not your responsibility. That's the employer's responsibility at that point. If anything, that's the employer to feel guilty, not you. Has your employees broached the idea of a 4-day work week at the company? No. If they want to work for 4 days, they're welcome to get paid for 4 days. I don't know, like, call me an asshole, but like, customers really don't care, you know? Like, at the end of the day, every customer that walks in says, like, okay, will I get an estimate while you're there? Well, again, if we only work 4 days a week, then that day a week that there is nobody working, then they will go somewhere else. When they go somewhere else, we lose money. When we lose money, we get even more fucked than we do right now. Again, like, stuff like that, like, how do I put this? Like, ideas like that, these are just ideas that I see people throwing around at companies that are multi-billion-dollar companies that can actually afford that shit. Like, that's not for us. Honestly, like, for myself, it's only in the last year and a half that I had the luxury of not having a 6 or a 7-day work week. It's not something I see happening. Like, even Steve. So Steve, he does this constantly, and it actually pisses me off. He will show up on Saturday and Sunday to check up on customer hard drives, and he does not add overtime to his pay. He'll show up on Saturday and Sunday. He rarely works Monday to Friday. I don't think it's part of the culture at the company. Like, taking a sick day if you feel sick and not counting it, you know, we don't have like a little list where it's like, you used up these 8 and you only get 7. I don't have a culture of that, but like, yeah, I'm not paying people like for 5 days and then having them work for 4, you know, fuck out of here. Again, you know, I'm not Tim Cook. Like, I'm not Tim Cook. If some other repair shop can make that work, then fucking God bless them. They're better at business than I am. And maybe they are, but that ain't me. If they're more strapped for money, won't they pick the repair since it's cheaper? Nope. They will just deal with it as is broken. Or what they'll do is they'll buy another one. Because here's the thing you have to understand, right? You have an item. Let's say the item costs $425 to fix. It costs $475 for them to purchase that item used. If my price goes from $425 for the repair to $475, there is no reason for them to get the repair versus simply purchase a used one that is on the used market. Do you understand how this works? Like, there's only so much you can raise your price before you're fundamentally economically not viable. Now, you could be saving them when it comes to things like convenience, right? You could be saving them with convenience, but at the end of the day, again, that does factor into it, because when they buy that $475 item, they got to set their shit up again, they got to make sure it works, they got to go take a train to meet the person, maybe the person they meet is a rapist, and instead of giving them a computer, I don't know, like, who the fuck knows? That's factored into it. But again, this is not about morals and ethics, it's about math. Customers make these decisions based on math, and they don't have a little calculator while they're doing it, but there is a calculator in their head. If a repair is too much money, then it makes sense for them to buy a used device and then sell their old device and then just reset it up. And if your price goes to a certain point, because technically, if they could buy a used one, think about it, if they could buy a used one for $500 and I charge $425 for repair, technically, if they did not value their time much, they could still get ahead by buying the $500 used one and then selling their old one for like $100. They're still financially ahead doing that. It's just they wasted some of their time. You need to make it so that the price that you charge is worth it to the point where they're not losing money, or if they are losing money, it's worth it because of the convenience that you offer. As you raise the price, it's not even about like fixing it anymore. It's just this mathematically doesn't make sense. Hi from Minnesota, Jesus and Frankie. Thank you, G. Thank you very much. So again, at the end of the day, it's not about ethics and morals. It's a math problem. It's always a math problem. Our entire, and one of the things that used to drive me nuts when I was younger and people would say, don't discuss money at the table, we don't discuss money, blah, 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 is that this entire business, many businesses are fundamentally based on money. Our business is fundamentally based on money. Every decision that people make here is based on money. And it's not even about morals or ethics or whether somebody likes me or doesn't like me, whether they want me to make a living wage, whether they don't want me to make a living wage. Nobody wants to support somebody else. Like, that's just the way it is. Nobody wants to feel like I'm paying for that car that you bought. I'm paying for that remodeled kitchen. At the end of the day, what they want is they want to get a benefit. So they're happy to give you money, but they need a benefit. So, like, again, you can continuously raise your prices every time inflation knocks up. But the problem with that is that at some point you inflate yourself out of business. And I do understand and recognize, let's just be clear here, that if I don't continuously improve my skill set and find new things that I can do, that I will be inflated out of business. Technology is deflationary. The rest of our economy is inflationary. So their groceries go up, their housing goes up, money printer go burr, but the price of all of the electronics that we use continuously goes down. So people expect their wages to go up with time, yet the price that I can charge goes down. So what I need to do is continuously figure out how to be more economically viable. And one of the ways we figured out how to do that, thank you, person whose name is fucking impossible to pronounce because you're from Australia. One of the things that helps is, let's say, instead of replacing a screen assembly, let's replace a screen. Instead of replacing a board, let's replace a chip. So we can't, even though the industry itself is deflationary as people's expenses are inflationary, we're continuously figuring out ways to have a higher profit margin by getting better at what we do, better at what we do, better at what we do. But there is a limit to that. And you're kind of fighting an uphill battle there. I don't know if that actually makes sense or if I'm even answering the question. You're lagging. Yes, I'm using Comcast. We established that. I'm behind by about 9 minutes here. Wages have been stagnant for 40 years since Reagan trickle-down economics garbage. I don't think there's an economist that's ever referred to trickle-down economics. I don't think that was ever a theory. I think you're referring to supply-side economics. My mouse doesn't work on my ThinkPad anymore. This makes me sad. I've heard about trickle-down economics in the past, but it was somebody criticizing Andrew Mellon in the 1920s. He had reduced taxes on people making over $100,000 a year from about 70% to about 20%. And it's interesting because after he did that, the people who were making over $100K a year back then went from paying about 30% of the taxes to 60% of the taxes. And people making under $5,000 a year went from paying over 15% of the taxes to paying below 1% of the taxes. But again, that's a 100-year-old argument, and B, if you use the 100-year-old argument, it actually cuts in favor of supply-side economics. But like that's young people are not working in fast food anymore. And here's the thing: if fast food dies because they can't afford to pay people, fine, fuck them. Again, I don't personally believe it's all a Ponzi. Google crypto, self-repaying loans, a few billion-dollar protocols out there, game-changing. That sounds like a Ponzi scheme. I get when you say it's all a self-repaying loans. That just sounds like a Ponzi. I was in the middle of something and I forget what it was, but I'll Google this. Let's see. Can somebody bookmark where I was? Because I already forgot what I was thinking. Alchemist lets you reimagine the potential of DeFi by providing highly flexible instant loans that repay themselves over time. This sounds like a scam. I don't know. This sounds. I feel bad because you gave me $5, but I'm just. Maybe it's just because it's 4 a.m, but this all sounds like a giant fucking scam, and I don't feel like reading it. Let's see. And I forgot where I was now. Fuck. I was in the middle of something. I feel like I was onto something. Can somebody remind me of what I was just talking about? Inflation is a taxation on savings. I agree. Yeah, I'm going to scroll down and see if anybody was kind enough to remind me of what I was on. Fast food. Yeah, again, fast food can die a miserable death. I don't give a fuck. Like, if 50 or even 60% of the unhealthy, shitty, garbage fast food options in the country closed, I don't personally care. If they close because people choose to not work there, that's fine with me. Again, if they close because you say, like, minimum wage is now $28 an hour or some shit, I'm not really for that. But if people just collectively say, listen, this place sucks, fuck this, and they modify their business model, and the places that modified and figure out how to make it work stay alive, and the places that can't go away, I don't really care. Would it be safe to say you're a highly opinionated person and perhaps more a doubter? Doubter powder? I don't know what that means. What's a doubter powder? What the fuck is that? Why not just pay your employees for 5 days and work them for 2 days? Yeah, with Tim Cook's money. Yeah, Tim Cook. Why do you talk about food taste if you don't have a culinary degree? I appreciate that. Okay, Twitch chat gets a point. Thank you, Trailblazing5, for making me laugh. Isn't it 4 a.m. for you guys? That's 4:24 to you. You can pay an employee a livable wage to provide the efficiency to a high-wage employee to do the work they are trained to do and still receive a net benefit. It depends. Like, again, let's say you have a tech that makes $30 an hour, and it takes him 1 hour a day, right? Let's say it takes him 1 hour a day to be able to to ship out and receive his own repairs. And let's say you have a shipping person who is able to do this job for $20 an hour, 8 hours a day, or something like that. And let's say you have 8 technicians. So if you have 8 technicians at $30 an hour, that comes out to $240 a day. That winds up getting wasted. That's time and money that they could spend on other repairs. I think UBI could either be a really good thing where people that were in shitty jobs wind up having the time and the ability to do amazing things and figure stuff out and pursue their passion, or it could wind up with a bunch of lazy people sitting on their ass, not pursuing anything because you've given them just enough to satiate them so that they don't actually bother. I don't know which one of those will actually play out. I really do think it's going to be a binary. It's going to be either one or the other, and I can't tell you what it is. I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger saying one of the worst things you could do is give somebody a safety net, and oh my God, I could hear like the left setting my house on fire right now. But saying don't give people a safety net because if you give them a safety net, they won't strive for anything. Again, I don't know. Maybe that's just what a roided out, old decaying bodybuilder would say. Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. It's really going to be one or the other, I think, and I can't tell you which one that is. I'm not going to pretend to know the future. But again, I do realize that my ideological biases make me believe the more pessimistic outcome rather than the more optimistic outcome. I think that's just where my temperamental and ideological biases lie. But I'm also not stupid enough to believe that simply because I have a temperamental or ideological bias that I'm actually correct with my prediction. Why are you trying to be my dad? Everybody who tries to be you try to be my dad with setting a bedtime, you get timed out. What was I talking about? So the math equation. So let's say that you have 8 people, 30 an hour, high skill or like medium skill or something. I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass. I'm not, okay, never mind. I'm not going to be able to answer a math question. Major empathy for your recent video on COVID self-righteousness. I've been dealing with those people, those a-holes on Reddit for years. Oh, I can't even read those Redditors anymore. I remember getting like hate messages on Reddit a while ago where they were saying that like I forced people to show up, and it's like, you realize I had 3 people staying home and getting full pay during COVID, right? Because they wanted to. And here's the funny thing. Guess what? One of the people that stayed home because he was afraid of getting COVID at the store got COVID at home from his family. Anyway, I don't even care. I can't get in. Like, so let's. Okay, I'm never going to answer that question. I give up. Next question. What is your preferred method for an employee to ask you for a raise? Shout out DGG. One thing that I would say is the best way to ask anybody for, wouldn't say me, but anybody, is to say, I want to know, what can I do to increase my value here so that I am worth this? Because I want to be able to move on to the next stage of my life. I like what I do. How can I increase my value here? What can I do to be more valuable? Because the thing is, a lot of bosses, especially in this industry, because it's very Asperger's ishy when it comes to the tech industry in general, they're really bad at saying what they feel or saying what they mean. And some places will tell you, listen, here's what you could do well, here's what you do bad, here's what you could do better, here's what I could really use right now. And you'd be surprised. Again, you're probably going to get an answer that you wouldn't expect. Again, if you just simply said, what can I do to be more valuable to this place? I want to be more valuable to this place so that I can then receive more value in return. How can I be more valuable here? Ask that again, if you walk in and you say, I deserve more because of this, that, and the other, you may actually be correct. But it doesn't, again, it's not really going to create a good feeling in the boss's head from a lizard brain perspective. You may be correct, but if you approach it wrong, again, we are all humans, and humans are emotional creatures that just act based on how they feel, not based on reality. But also, you're opening yourself up to, get an honest answer. And I don't think most people ask questions in a manner that's going to get them an actual honest answer. There may actually be something that you could be doing that your boss hasn't told you to do that will make you more money. I think I had 3 separate strains of conversation going there, and I forgot all of them because it's 4 in the morning. I'm also behind by 6 minutes. Do you find it easier to meet people with working brains you can relate to? No, because I don't have a working brain, Ashley. So typically, you need to have a working brain yourself in order to find like-minded people. People who have a brain want to speak to people who have a brain, and I don't really have a brain. I don't know. I don't think I have a brain. I have orange juice, though. I've heard people say do you own research, but who does a person do their own research while sort through the good and the bad information? Oh, most people don't even know how to interpret research. I don't either. I was learning a lot of this. This is one guy in Discord who's also working my wiki, Daniel Smallum. Somebody will post a study about something, and I'll think, oh, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And then he'll come along and say, here's why that's the wrong conclusion to draw from this, because that's not the way this study is even being done. That's not they're not even comparing A to B. So to say A is interesting when A is not being compared to B, it doesn't make any sense. And I'll explain why. I don't think most people know. I think most people are very biased. They're going to look for things that most people are not doing research to learn. They're doing research to support a conclusion that they've already come to that jives with them ideologically. Like something that makes them believe that their understanding of the world is correct, that reinforces the way that they see the world. People feel a sense of calm when they believe that they understand the world. And everybody tends to understand the world through their own little prism. They see the world through their own little prism or their own little ideological lens. And when you take that ideological lens away from them, it gives them a sense of, I find, it gives them a sense of anxiety, fear, uncertainty, aggravation. So they look for things that support their own existing conclusions. And that's not really research. And the whole thing about the scientific method and the whole thing about being a research scientist is you're essentially constantly trying to disprove yourself. So you think this is correct. So you literally go out of your way to try to disprove this as much as you can. And it just so fundamentally goes against what most people do when they do research. There's this thing called FedEx syndrome on the hub where people started working part-time but got just enough money to never look for another job. Are you talking about the porn hub? When somebody says the hub, I think that usually means Pornhub. People started working part-time but got just enough money to never look for another job. I don't want to Google crypto scams right now. I apologize. It's just, there's a lot of cool discussion going on, and Googling crypto scams is just, it should be something that you can explain in a few sentences, and if you can't, it's probably some sort of scam. And if it's not a scam, then I'm willing to lose out on it at the moment, because it's 4:30 in the morning and I just don't want to learn about a new platform of loaning. I'm not a fan of debt in general, to be honest with you. I think that's at its core why I'm not that interested in a loaning cryptocurrency or a loaning coin, because I'm one of those people that just, I'm not comfortable with debt. I don't like debt. I'm not interested in debt, and I really, again, even outside of crypto, I really don't have any interest in taking on debt. If your repair shop will go out of business, will you try to create a new business, or will you try to go work for somebody else? I don't know. I'd probably lower my standard of living and retire. I felt your vaccine mandate rant the other way was a straw man argument. How can you support a right to repair but not bodily autonomy? I thought it was silly. I don't understand. I think I mean, you use the word straw man, but I don't think you understand what that word means. And I appreciate the $20, but I don't understand the idea. I mean, I support bodily autonomy. I've never said I don't support bodily autonomy. I have not forced anybody that works for me to get a vaccine. I'm not for forcing you to get a vaccine. So I fundamentally don't understand what you're talking about. I don't know if you're trying to be ironic when you say straw man argument, but I've never been in favor of forcing people to get a vaccine. Now, I'm very confused by that. If you can clarify in the general chat, I'll read it, but I am 7 minutes behind. You don't have to donate again for me to read it. FedEx World Hub in Memphis. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is I've heard people use the hub as slang for Pornhub. Have another beer. Thank you. I will have some orange juice because it's healthier than beer. FedEx World Hub in Memphis. Interesting. Why do you look like characters from Seinfeld? Oh, I wish I looked like a character from Seinfeld.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Oh no, you're copying and pasting it. No, why would you do such a thing? No, it's hard enough for me to read chat. Okay, now you out of here. What a Rode wireless go-to for streaming my wedding. Any good ideas for reasonably priced lavalier microphones? I honestly don't like lavalier microphones. What I would recommend is you get an Omni. Don't get a cardioid. The problem with getting a cardioid is that when it moves from here to here, it changes the tone completely. Or like when your shirt moves, like if it changes from here to here, or like when it flip-flops, there's this radical change in the tone of the sound. What makes more sense to me is to use an omnidirectional. This is an omnidirectional, and you simply speak louder so that the signal-to-noise ratio is such that you don't mind that you're dealing with pickup from everywhere rather than pickup from a specific source. So I would say get an Omni, regardless of which one you get. What do you think? I think NFTs really are. I believe they're an erosion of internet or current internet usability. It's monetizing JPEGs for a select few. When I see NFTs, it kind of reminds me of when you go to the Museum of Modern Art and there's literally like a piece of shit, garbage-looking rug on the ground, and it says, and I quote, "A piece to be stepped on," and then you Google and you figure out that they paid tens of thousands of dollars to buy that for the place. It's kind of like modern art to me. It's a digital version of it, and it's interesting when people call that a scam. If that's a scam, then I think you kind of have to understand that most of the high-end art business is kind of a scam. Like when you're paying, for like literally somebody throws paint on there and there's no talent to it, and it's like $800,000. The trends I've seen is people forget that money they've earned from crypto came out of other people's pocket. That's a big part of it. Disappointed in your take on vaccination. It prevents against death and serious illness, and it works. Looks at Portugal. The restrictions are sadly to protect the unvaccinated. I don't really care if I disappoint you, to be honest. I genuinely don't care. That doesn't really bother me. Again, the thing that drives people. 1 sec. Yukanda has inspired me to repair and upgrade my own devices. Recently, I upgraded my own laptop, RAM, SSD, screen, and even CPU. That's cool. Hopefully your CPU was socketed and not BGA, but if it was BGA, you're a fucking beast, man. But yeah, one of the things that I pinned this to a comment in my COVID rant video from last week. People don't understand that the level of mandates, shutdowns, lockdowns, and everything else is precisely why you had mask skepticism, precisely why you had... It's impossible to answer a question. See, if you work on this, at home COVID infections, I have a theory. It spreads through pipes. There's documented cases of SPARS spread like that. Zcam elderberry gummies. Elderberry? Okay. Pipes? I don't have a way to confirm or deny that at this moment in time. What do you mean spreading through pipes? That's interesting. Excuse me. When it comes to, you have to understand that the amount of shutdowns, the amount of you're not allowed to jog down the street, the amount of you're allowed to go to aisle 11 but not aisle 13 in Michigan, you're not allowed to eat inside... Moneyfication, nexification. That also doesn't come out of donation money. Thank you, and Zombiac, for the $10 Australian. You're not allowed to go in aisle 11 of this store, but you can go to 13. You're not allowed to eat indoors, but you're allowed to eat indoor. You're not allowed to eat indoors, but you can eat outdoors if somebody builds a house on the street with no ventilation, a roof, ceiling, and windows. You're not allowed to open your business. You have to understand that at some point, people just said, you know what? Fuck you. I'm literally going to do the opposite of what you say because you're ruining my life and I hate you. And you have to understand that the more mandates you create, the more you create that festering wound of just general science skepticism, of general vaccine skepticism, of general COVID denialism and all of that. that comes from people like you that say things like that. I don't care if I disappoint you because this is the reality as to why people are the way they are. I'm not saying it's right, but that's the way it is. Just wanted to thank you for all the videos. I really like you were straight to the point. Would you tell someone that has ADHD, what would you tell somebody who has ADHD and how to set better goals? This might be outside of your advice. How do you plan your working goals now? What I like to do is I like to take something that's really difficult and break it down into the very, very basic tasks and then give myself way too much time to do it. So if I have
Sweet mercy.
fuck, I have to figure out a way to pause this shit. What are your thoughts on giving money to people who hit you up in the street or sidewalk saying they are down and out? I usually don't. Like, there's this one time that this one guy walked up to me and he asked for money. He said, I'm literally eating out of trash cans. This is like 2 days ago. And he's smoking weed. I was telling my friend about this. It was like $50 weed. Like, this was the most quality weed I've smelled in a long fucking time. And I remember visiting to deliver tape to Quad Studios 13 years ago. They had some good shit there. So I didn't, because it's like, if you could afford $50 weed, you don't need me to pay you for, $5 food. Don't worry about the vaccine mandates, won't matter in the metaverse. There is no such thing as a metaverse. So if you have ADHD, what I would suggest is for anything that you want to do, you need to break it down into the smallest tasks and then give yourself so much time to complete each task that even in your worst day you can. So literally like 9 a.m., log in a website. 9:15, click my profile. 9:30, download file I need. 9:45, sign it. 10 o'clock, scan it. 10:15, send off to person I need to send it to. 10:30, confirm they got it.
Sweet
Like,
mercy.
now, it doesn't take 15 minutes to do each of these tasks, but the thing is, if you give yourself so much time to do each one, you start to learn how much time there is in a day and how much time you actually have to do all the things that you want to do. That's what I do. Because I don't have a good attention span. And I remember seeing one therapist that said I had ADHD when I was younger, but like, I can pay attention to the things I want to pay attention to if I use a system and if I find it interesting. I opened up my Windows laptop to clean it out properly. I have 2 cats who like to sleep on it near my laptop. Thank you for the inspiration. Yeah, thank you. My cat likes to sleep on mine because it's warm. And I had to clean my amp the other day. It was filled with like 11 years worth of cat hair. I have no idea what a ThinkPad Z is. I've never heard of it before. Let's take a look. ThinkPad Z. What is a ThinkPad Z? ThinkPad Z, engineered with recycled materials and 100% rapid renewable, compostable packaging. Ooh, Ryzen Pro. Okay, this is cool. Ryzen Pro. I'm only going to have like 8 seconds to look at this, knowing this fucking system. I got to figure out how pause works with this system. I had to pause this, because this is actually, like, it's kind of lame only having like 8 seconds to answer somebody's question. At some point, I'm going to learn how to actually stream properly. But, let's see. ThinkPad Z, coming spring 2022. I don't want spring 2022. Why can't I have Ryzen now? I want right. Yeah, but I'm not kidding with the listing, by the way. Like, literally take all the things that you need to do and just break it down into subtasks and then give yourself 15 to 30 minute intervals. But you want to do it where like each one of those tasks is a task that takes 1 or 2 minutes, but give it a 15-minute interval. And what it does is there's a lot more time in the day than you think. And it's also, even if you have an issue with paying attention to things, it's a lot easier to pay attention if you give yourself something much smaller to pay attention to. I need to do that, because if I don't do that, it's why, like, if I don't do that, it's just, oh, look, a squirrel. Oh, look, a squirrel. If you make yourself a to-do list and each thing is like, okay, that's a day of a task, or this is a 2-hour task, it's not going to work. You're going to give up on the list. You need to take each item on that list and break it down. Like, each task should be broken up into these little subtasks and give them 15 or 30 minutes each, but make those tasks that you could reasonably, like, let's be real, log into a website, you could do that shit in 2 minutes. But one thing you're going to notice when you do that is just how much you allow yourself to get distracted. Every single time this thing vibrates, every time somebody walks into your office, every time the cat jumps on your lap, every time your roommate goes over to you, you're going to notice that you get bothered constantly. And what it's going to do is it's going to make you laser focused. So one thing that bothers a lot of people that I'm friends with and that I know is that my phone is on silent 99% of the day. This doesn't ring. I don't want this to ring. I don't want to get distracted and bothered by every single stupid little thing that this thing says. And I don't mind if I miss out on somebody trying to message me instantly to do something. What's important to me is focusing on my list. Repaired a dead robot vac and replaced my laptop screen. Thanks for putting the idea in my head that it was possible. Thank you. This is really cool. I'm glad to see that people actually managed to get something to work again from these shitty old videos that I've done over the years. Okay, where am I? I'm at 434 in chat. I missed a bunch of it, as usual. Is Kramer going to break in your door? No. I think Michael Richards kind of fucked himself a few years ago, if you know what I mean.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Thank you, Mohit. That's 179 more thunderbolts than I deserve. Rode have some really good ones. Again, get an Omni, don't get a cardioid. Because if you get, here's the other thing with cardioid. Let's say it's pointing this way, right? And you're talking, but then you do this. If you're using a cardioid lavalier microphone and you do this or you do this, you'll notice that you'll have like a 3 or a 9 decibel reduction in sound because it's only focusing on here, like here. So that when you move here, well, now it's not picking, it's blocking this, but it's picking up this, and it's very, very, very annoying. It's not just the volume of the sound, it's also the character and the tone of the sound that changes. So if you have a cardioid mic, right? Let's say this thing over here. Let's say you have this little Audio-Technica 2020. If you have a cardioid mic, but you're talking into it like this, and you're at a set distance, and you know it's over here, then you can have a cardioid mic. But if you're going to be out and about and moving around and moving your head, you cannot have a cardioid mic on you because, again, if this little stupid thing moves from over here to over here, it totally changes the tone of the sound. And I want you to listen to this. When you listen to TED Talks, you'll be able to tell which TED Talks get done with an Omni and which ones get done with a cardioid. Because when they're wearing the head-worn microphone and it's an Omni, they can walk around, they can gesture, and it has good sound. But when they're wearing a cardioid, the moment this moves from like here to over here, you'll hear that the sound becomes way more tinny, and it's like an 8 or 10 decibel reduction, or like if they do this or they do this and this little band moves, it screws up everything. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it, and it's horrible. Thanks for your procrastination video, though it managed to create a crazy complex code project all on my own. Well, that's way more than I've accomplished with my life, so be proud of it, Mario. I remember trying to code a math test when I was 6 years old and in GW Basic, and it would give you a bigger compliment the closer you were to the answer and a bigger insult the further away you were. Do you think NFTs are a scam? I think I answered that one. It seemed you were in favor of vax mandate when you started freaking out the cat. No. I'm not in favor of a mandate. I'm in favor of vaccines. But the reason I'm against the mandate is because the mandates put people off to vaccines, and because welcome to New Hampshire, live free or die. Holy that's way more than I deserve, Sean Roberts. I don't deserve $50. The reason that I'm against mandates is because I'm actually pro-vaccine. So when you do mandates, when you say aisle 11 of the store is closed but 13 is open, when you say you're not allowed to run down the street in Rhode Island, when you say you're not allowed to get a haircut in Chicago, when you say that you're not allowed to, dine in New York City or open a basic fucking business, what you do is you radicalize people in the opposite direction. And the reason that I was against the mandates is not because I'm anti-vaccine. I am very pro-vaccine. But the reason that I hate the mandates is because they make people more anti-vaccine. And now, how can I be rich with the least amount of work? Sorry, I can't answer that. If you want to make money, it's going to take doing work, and it's going to suck. And sometimes you're going to fail. Actually, a lot of the times you're going to fail. And there's really no way around that. And you're going to have to learn to live with it. And there's really not much else to say. You're going to have to live with the fact that work sucks. That building something from nothing is going to be difficult. Learning a skill set is going to be really difficult. Anything worth doing, to be honest, is difficult. I'll donate more, but thank you for answering my question. We'll try that advice and we'll follow up. If I don't forget, I agree with getting distracted super easily and can change a lot more. Thank you. That video with Steve was awesome. Thank you. Yeah, he was a cool dude. Him and Rich Rebuilds were really cool, humble, and kind people, and I was glad that I met them. Like, they're the same person off camera that they are on. But yeah, list 15-minute intervals. And again, I don't always follow this. And when I don't follow it, I screw myself. I actually have checks over there I have to mail tomorrow. There's a few basic things I got to do that I fucked up and didn't do because I didn't do this. I just thought I could make a line item, like, do this for organization. Like, that doesn't work. It doesn't. I know myself. I need to take it and, like, go to drawer, pull this out. I don't know. That's up to you, man. That's up to you. What you do is, if you notice that you're not able to get it done, keep dividing. Keep dividing until you get to the point where you're actually able to do the work. I have this video called How to Negotiate with Yourself that gets things done. It's about a year old. I would watch that video because I discuss this in detail in there. You just keep dividing it. Like, I'll divide it down to, okay, get contract, sign contract. Like, 9 a.m., get contract. 9:15, sign contract. 9:30, take down address. 9:45, go to drawer. Fuck, I want to finish this so bad, but I know I'm going to forget this. you want to learn about the new ones, look for people coming out of Flex Lidded. What's Flex Lidded? MLB top case and screen serialized. I know that to an extent, the MacBook Airs have an issue with the webcam. The newer MacBook Airs have a thing where the webcam won't work if I change the display assembly, so I have to change the LCD by itself. But I didn't know if the... Look for people coming out of Flex... I don't know what Flex LTD is, I'm sorry. And I don't know how to find Flex LTD. Where was I? Yeah, so...
Sweet mercy.
I'm sorry, I can't answer this. How to be poor at this most amount of work. Actually, that's an easy one. Become an AASP. Try to become an AASP and make money. Best of luck to you. No, like 9 o'clock, get contract. 9:15, sign contract. 9:30, scan contract. 9:45, get address from contract. 10 a.m., get check from drawer. 10:15, write check. 10:30, put in pocket. 10:45. I want to finish this so bad. I'm so sorry. I'm going to fuck you over. 10:45. I'll promise I'm going to get back to it and read it. 10:45. Put in pocket. 11 o'clock. Get bike. 11:15. Ride bike to work. 11:45. Arrive at work. 12 o'clock. Print shipping label. 12:15. Put check into envelope. 12:30. Ship check. 12:45. Email that check has been sent. How do we get tools like MRIs to be more accessible to the average person? I have no fucking clue. You got to ask an MRI tech. Fuck, I'm behind. I fell off the treadmill. Why? This is 5 lines. How am I supposed to read 5 lines and remember what I was just talking about? Videos where you spoke about your experience of running a business that changed my life. And yes, I am now self-employed. But videos don't answer all questions. This is AMA, so acronym about starting Rossmann's Consulting Services. I don't know what that fucking acronym means. I don't know what consulting services I would start. What's a I'm Dilbert, and I think it's season 1, episode 7. It was something like, that is to con and insult. Like consulting is to con and insult. Consulting. I've never used Windows 11, and I'm probably never will. Again, I got Linux working on my laptop. I got Linux working on my work desktop. I got Linux working at home. I boot into Windows 10 every now and then when I need to use it for something, but only when there's a program I 100% need to use it for. When it comes to medical right to repair, I did a video a while back that you can watch. It is on endoscopes, and it really does go over this pretty well. Let's see. Right repair, Rossmann Group. Hopefully I can get it on the screen before something comes up. I hope I can find it. I only have a few seconds before the clock is ticking. Oh, the stress. The clock is ticking, motherfucker. Here we go. No, that's not it. There we go. How right to repair affects healthcare, hospitals, and the medical industry. So I would watch this. How right to repair affects hospitals, healthcare, and the medical industry. And in addition to this, there is also... Let's see. Where is the other one that I remember doing? Oh, here we go. This one. Where the guy is saying that to fix like a $25,000 or $35,000 operating table, they are asking to, instead of making the motor available, which is $500, they tell them, sorry, you got to buy a new table because that is not a fixable device. It's a scam. And now, Flex Limited, 6380 East Holmes Street, Memphis. Enjoy the time for other questions. Hopefully it helps you find more people. How does that work? Do I just show up at that location with a machine gun and say, yo, give me all the tools to serialize stuff? Is that what I do? Do I just like show up and say, and like stick them up, give me the tool? I don't know if that would work. I don't know what to do with that address. I'll take it down, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. I take the address down. So ASP to threaten to get tools from YouTube. And I put the address. Enjoyed the Ben Heck interview. No question, just appreciate you. Thank you. I got to become a better streamer. I have no idea how to set this up so that I can keep up with people's questions. Can you type without looking at the keyboard? Yes, but I can only use 2 fingers. I do about 117 words a minute, but it's with 2 fingers, so it's kind of useless. What about creative tasks, and how long does it take to divide up little tasks like this? I mean, I can't tell you because I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like asking how long does it take to run a mile. Like, that's all you. But what I can tell you is that you continuously divide the task down into smaller tasks and with more period between them when you realize that you're not able to actually get them done. So when I realize, okay, I made this thing in my list. I'm supposed to do this and it doesn't get done. I realize that I'm procrastinating it. Why am I putting it off? Because it seems impossible. Why does it seem impossible? Because it's too big a job to do. So I always look at myself and I think of myself as a piece of shit. And this actually works. So like, I'm a piece of crap. I'm lazy. Okay, I'm not willing to redo the question part of my website. But am I willing to log into my website? Yeah, I'm probably willing to do that. What do you think? Oh, yeah, I hate abbreviations. If you watch this channel, I despise acronyms. They're evil. I thought about advisories for the average day Joe wanting to start an honest business. I don't know if that's a good idea because most of my businesses fail. I have two businesses that have succeeded, but I have 3 businesses that failed, and one business that you could kind of argue is semi-failing right now. So I don't really know if my advice is worth anything, to be honest with you. Maybe even $1 could be overpaying. So what was? Okay, I'm not willing to redo this section of my site. Understandable. I want to log into my site. Okay. 9 a.m. Log into site. 9:15. Find plugin. 9:30. Click plugin. 9:45. Observe menu. 10 o'clock. Make new list. 10 o'clock comes by. I go 10:15. Arrange list of questions from answered to unanswered. 10:30. Click first question. 10:45. Answer. 11. Click second question. 11:15. Answer. You see what I'm doing here? You keep bringing the list, you break the list down and down and down, and assume. Is there a way to increase the minimum super chat shout out? No, that's a shitty thing to do. I don't know. I feel guilty that I'm not able to read all the normal comments. What I really need to be able to do is figure out a way to like hit a button so that it doesn't read them or like accuse them until I click the button. If there was a way that I could cue them and then I click a button and the next one plays, that would allow me to finish my rants. But I also realize if I did that these streams would, again, some of them go for 4 or 5 hours. And if I did that, I'd probably be streaming for 10 or 15 hours a day. And I don't know. Destiny does that, but I can't fucking do that. I don't know how the fuck he does that, to be honest with you. And so what I do is I assume that I'm a piece of shit. I assume that I am incapable of doing anything that I assume that I'm incapable of doing anything reasonable. So, like, if you give me a task, instead of saying, oh, yeah, of course I can do that, and then, like, oh, I guess I can't, and it never gets done, because when you're procrastinating, what you're doing is you're saying, yeah, I'm not willing to do that. I don't think I can do that. As I just keep breaking it down to the point where it's like, even a piece of shit like me should be able to do this. And be honest with yourself. Like, just say, listen, okay, I'm a lazy schmuck. You know what? I'm a lazy schmuck. I'm an idiot. Okay. What can an idiot do? An idiot's not going to do all this, but when you start out with log in a site and you give yourself 15 minutes, click on plugin, and you give yourself 15 minutes, answer one question, and you give yourself 15 minutes. It's really hard to not type out an answer to a basic question in 15 minutes, is it? And surely you could figure out the password to that website in 15 minutes. Even if you don't know the password, click forget password. Now you got to log into your email. You got to find the code. Oh, it went to spam. But again, if you give yourself 15 minutes to do that, then it's much easier to do. And it's much more difficult to justify putting it off. But if you have one task that has like 15 subtasks to it, it's really easy to say, oh God, there's so much involved with that, screw that. I'm willing to take something that most people would think is in something easy to do and actually turn it into a full one-day project. Because here's the thing. Most people waste their lives. I'll just be honest. Like, most people waste their lives. They don't do much with their day. They fundamentally don't accomplish much with their day. They think they are, but they spend their day scrolling on Facebook or Instagram. They spend it, like watching random shit on TV or watching other people live their lives or talking about other people live their lives or talking about senseless drama. Most people don't actually live their lives. And so I'm willing to take one full day and dedicate it to the most pathetic little task. Even if it means I take all the subtasks and I break it up into 15 or 30 minute increments, because what that means is that it'll actually get done. Let's see. That's an important part of that's an important part to my sense of organization. Because without it, I don't think I'd be able to accomplish anything, to be honest with you. Rich Rebuilds is the funniest channel. That dude is fucking amazing. If used proper, a DPA 4088 is a better choice for TED Talks than a DPA 4066. Peh, peh, poo. The only reason to use a DPA 4066, and I do mean the only, is that you're in a literal fucking wind tunnel. If you're in a wind tunnel, fine, use a DPA 4088. But even then, like, because again, when you're, like, watch this. Watch this. Like, if I do this, see this? Like, oh, look, it moved. Look at where my mouth is. Look. So let's say that that the person does this, right, while they're talking, or that actually will change the character of the sound because it moved from here to here. I'm telling you, like cardioid microphones, when they're cardioid microphones when they're like this. This is a good cardioid microphone when you're doing this and you're dealing with a singer that has mic technique. But when you're dealing with something that's literally right next to your face where there's no opportunity for mic technique, oh, cardioid is so bad. It's so bad. It's so horrible. And like once you get, you'll hear it. Trust me, you'll hear it in so many people's videos, and it is disgusting. Like I remember Eli the computer guy did all these interviews. I love Eli the computer guy, but he did an interview with INE. I don't plan on it. I will do it under one condition. If okay, you want to put a ding in his? That's a little okay. That's a little rapey. But no. I will stop fighting Apple the moment that they decide to be more friendly towards repair. When they do that, we're on the same side. But that's going to be a while. I forget where I was. Let's see. Oh yeah, so Eli did these interviews with INE, and which like literally every time he does this, he has his cardioid microphone right here, and it's pointing up. And then when he turns like this, 5 decibel reduction, 5 decibels up, 5 decibel reduction, 5 decibels up. It's cardioid. Yeah. Boo. Stop giving me money, Yes, Inri. Yes. I actually want to be able to answer the questions. Study journalism, says Avid. I don't know what that means. In my country, all wages go up with inflation automatically. It's mandatory for all companies. Wait, so the government gets to fuck up your currency, and after they fucked up your currency, they get to fuck over the companies that have no control over it? Bruh. What country is that, Emmanuel Rogier? That's hysterical. So we get to fuck up the currency. We get to force you to use that currency, and then we get to... oh my God, that's hysterical. Why don't you talk? I don't know. I think I've been talking for a few hours now. Become a pseudo-gynecologist. That's a bad idea. I don't know how to be a gynecologist. I don't think I'd be a good gynecologist. Windows 11 is basically 10. I don't know. I figured out that I can live without Windows. There's a few inconveniences, like for instance on this laptop, I can either use Intel graphics or NVIDIA. There's no like switching, and all the methods to switch between the two are just on the fly with the desktop environment open are total fucking cancer. It's just garbage. But like there's some things that you give up. There really are. Or like, you know, again, there's audio plugins. Like, again, a lot of the Linux audio plugins are worse than the plugins that you could get on Windows or Mac in 2005. Like, Waves had better plugins available in 2005 than most Linux audio plugins are in 2022. And you can't even really buy stuff like that for Linux. But again, at the same time, it's, do I really need that stuff? Not really. So, you know, I figured out a way to be able to work with free software, and I can use it and it works, and I'm kind of set. You can fire me to fix my own stuff. I keep my iPhone 7 running, and I do basic fixes for laptops and friends. Thank you for your work. That's cool. I hope you don't wind up with a dead baseband someday. So many of those wind up with dead baseband. Where did Eli the computer guy go? He's disappeared. He's in Florida. He's in Florida. He's made he's made the pilgrimage to Florida. He's probably going to get COVID. Destiny's crack dealer says collaborate with Destiny. I don't know what I would collaborate with him on. He seems a lot smarter than I am. Hey, I bought a liquid chromatography mass spectrometer. That sounds like some alien thing. The guys at Agilent actually give me free advice offering a license key. Well, Agilent is a different form of HP than your modern HP. Like, it was very professional. Eli uploaded a week ago. The hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? What are you even answering? What is your question? That doesn't make any sense. What was the cost-benefit analysis on moving your business? There is no cost-benefit analysis. It's either the best employees that I have will come with me, with which case it'll work, or they won't, in which case it won't work. There's no cost-benefit analysis. Will it work or will it not? Let's see. Is this in New Hampshire? This is in New Hampshire. I think you're rationalizing a reason to allow yourself to eat junk. I don't like eating junk. I don't think I've ever really suggested eating junk. I bet Lewis won't read this. Well, I did, and I regret reading Twitch chat already. Let's see. Are you seeing people who avoid all sugars? I think that's going overboard. This is the thing where Twitch chat is talking to themselves, and I think they're talking to me, which reinforces why I usually don't read Twitch chat. Sorry, Twitch. Next. Any tool for task management? Yeah, I use Notepad. Seriously, I use Notepad. I don't use anything more complicated than Notepad. None of that shit where it's like task, day. Like there are so many tools where it's like you have tasks, you have reminders, you have calendar items, you have projects, and it's like fuck all that shit. Like I use Notepad. I've tried to use those task management things, and it's just fuck that shit. Notepad, bro. Lewis starts a business where he works for like no pay, and I'm a lazy piece of shit. I mean, I recognize I'm a lazy piece of shit, but the thing is I come up with workarounds for it. The thing is I'm very lazy, but at the same time that I'm very lazy, I also really, really, really don't want to be poor for the rest of my life, and I want to live a life of purpose. So these two are constantly working against one another. But I realize that my natural state is to be lazy and not do the things that I need to do. But I realize that I have goal, and I'm constantly going back and forth, and it's a constant tug of war here. Why does my MacBook 2017 Mac keep turning off at 40% and needs charger to turn on despite 40% battery? Maybe you have a bad battery? I don't know. I have no clue. I really don't know. A number of different things. No idea. What voltage is PP Bus G3 hot at when it turns off at 40%? Are there upsides of cardioid lavaliers? Why do they even exist? I don't know. Why does K-pop exist, you know? There are lots of things that exist that don't really have an upside to them. I mean, Korean, like, K-pop is a thing. It's a genre. It exists. It's like, why does it exist? I don't know. Erica introduced me to it, and it's like, get this out of my fucking car. Never again. I will leave you on the I love you, but I will leave you on the side of the road so fast, woman. I have a 4-year-old Threadripper 16-core 1950, and it's not Windows 11 compatible. I have a 2950X, so if you have a 1950 and it's not Windows 11 compatible, my 2950 Pro... Here's the thing. How the fuck is a processor that has a 26 or a 25,000 or a 28,000 CPU benchmark score not good enough for Windows 11? Hey, think about that. It's a pretty high score, is it not? How is it that you have a processor with such a high score and they're just going to say that that's not good enough for that? Like, fuck that. Seriously, fuck that. I have no interest in Windows 11 whatsoever. Like zero, none. Don't care about Windows 11 at all. Like I don't see the value in it. I don't see why I should care. And honestly, again, there's a few things that I put a lot of work in to be able to do all the shit in Linux I do in Windows, including stuff like, again, audio compression. So for instance, if I go, I'm not this, it's not as horribly distorted as it would be otherwise. So I kind of, see, stuff like that. Thank you, DJ Sparky. So at the end of the day, I don't really need Windows anymore. And honestly, I kind of like the idea of being without it. It took a while, but I prefer being without Windows. I can live with being without Windows. Check your volume set, huh? Given the chance, would you take the red pill or the blue pill? Neither. I'd like reality. The blue pill is the idea that everything you see on your TV is true, and the red pill is the idea that everything you see on your TV was false and they were all lying to you the whole time. Here's the thing: the real, like the true pill. I don't know what color that would be. The green pill. I don't know what the fuck you call it. The true pill is the fact that everything is the way it is for a reason. And the world is filled with corruption, the world is filled with greed, the world is filled with people who did stupid shit, but at the end of the day, Many things are the way they are for a reason, and the reasons that everybody are telling you, whether it's the red pill people or the blue pill people, aren't usually it. There's not some sort of vast, large conspiracy, and there's also usually, but at the same time, things usually aren't the way they are because the reasons other people tell you either. Ooh, my thumbnail person sent me a thumbnail. The problem is I need to be able to open the thumbnail and then upload the thumbnail before I hear a little noise again. And the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. Like slim to none. Let's see. What do you got? Okay, let's see if this is under 2 megabytes. Sometimes my thumbnail man trolls me with a thumbnail that's larger than 2 megabytes. He's a good dude though. Everybody, say a nice round of applause to Mr. Radit in the chat for making the amazing thumbnails on these videos. That 390 kilobytes. Thank you. Look at that.
Sweet mercy.
And I couldn't make it. Fuck. I thought I could, but I can't. Love the random AMA streams with you just standing around drinking orange juice, answering questions. Yeah, I enjoy standing. Well, I don't enjoy standing this much, but I am standing because I don't have my a chair yet. I don't have a chair or a stool. I will get a stool eventually. Likely tomorrow. Gotta wait for some random crap to get delivered tomorrow. And then I get a stool. Maybe a stool sample. What are your thoughts on the New York fire?
Sweet mercy.
I don't really have any. I don't really know what to say. Everything okay? You seem pretty exhausted and sweaty. That's lighting, so that's not really sweaty. That's just I have this Erica got me this oil and she said you should rub it on your face so that you don't have dry skin. So I did. But when there's horrible lighting and a camera staring at me at this angle, it kind of is more obvious. Let me see if it's possible to make this thumbnail. I don't think it is, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Let's see. Adid takes very great pride in his thumbnails. Sorry, that's not going to be... I don't really have any thoughts on the New York fire. I don't really know if there's anything that... there's nothing... The thing with those things is there's nothing I can say that would make it better. Nothing that I say is going to sound genuine. I can't make it better. I can't take it back. I can't undo the pain of any of the people that were in it. This is why I'd make a shitty politician, because if I was the mayor and somebody said, what do you think of the fact that 19 people died in a horrible fire? I probably would just stand there autistically going, that sucks. And that's probably not what you're supposed to say. How far is this from your place of business? 200 or 300 miles or so. I think it's 240 miles. I believe it's about 240 miles. Where you have a monitor speaker blasting the rest of the band at the drum or louder than the drums so they play in time. Huh? Never touch a new Windows version. Always let it mature for a year or two. Yeah, I'm not touching Windows 11. Fuck that. I'm pretty sure that this laptop wouldn't even support it. And at the end of the day, what? I'm going to buy... this laptop has a 9,000 CPU benchmark score, 32 gigs of RAM and an SSD. And this is not going to work with the new Windows? I mean, are you kidding me? Running live at this time is basically live for Europe. It's almost noon here. Europeans say, muchos gracias, amigo. I would say thank you with your name, but I can't because of the... Take the last word out of the title and you're going to jail. What distribution are you on? I'm using Ubuntu because I'm a noob. I used Gentoo for about 12 years, but then I decided I don't hate myself that much. I was very tired of dealing with these constant package conflicts with portage. I don't know how the fuck you pronounce it. Portage. I never bothered learning. If you are starting over today, what would you do differently than what you were ready to do over the years? Oh, so many things. With the screen company, I wouldn't have invested too much in particular screens. I think I started to get greedy, and I think that with screens, what was really interesting is if I had an idea which screens were going to have a shortage later or which ones were going to become popular based on the models that people wanted, I could then buy up all of them when they came out and then sell them at a decent profit. That started to turn into a low-key gambling addiction, which then turned into me destroying that company. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't move to a larger repair shop. What was the New York fire? Some fire in the Bronx that I'm not aware of because I wasn't really paying attention to the news today. But apparently, I think 19 people died or so. But you should Google it because I'm not a newscaster and I didn't research it. About 19 people died at a fire in the Bronx in a building, which really sucks. I mean, that's fucking horrible. What are the advantages of a shotgun mic? Advantages over what? You know, when you ask like a question like that, it's always over what. So obviously, the advantage of a shotgun microphone is that it picks up only what's over here, and you can also have it out of the shot. But obviously, it's going to get you a lot more room noise than something like this is going to get you. And in a room like this, where I have no acoustic panels at all, that's going to be absolutely horrible. Yeah, like in a room like this, that would be shit. Why are you standing up? I don't have a chair or a stool. Literally just got here. I have eggs, butter. You know what? I have eggs, butter, and a pan. That's literally that's that. And orange juice. Can you play Dota 2 in Linux? Yes, but it works shittier than it does in Windows. In Windows, I can stream at 4K, and it's totally fine. And in Linux, if I try to stream with 4K with the exact same X264 settings in OBS, it skips like crazy. So it's just like at its core, it's just not as good an operating system for things like that. It's not gonna be like people have always. Thank you, Zombiac. It's never going to be. People were saying in 2000, like, Linux will be ready on the desktop next year. It's like it's 2022. And Windows it's exact same hardware. 4K stream of a game, perfect. No drop frames, beautiful. Linux, and then I have to go back to 1080p. Again, you don't really need to stream in 4K, but it's just, with the same hardware, you can squeeze, there are many cases where you could just squeeze better performance out of Windows. It's fucking sad, but I don't want to be under. I don't want to be under Microsoft's boot anymore, if that makes sense. I'm already under Google's boot, and it makes me sick knowing that I'm under Google's boot. And I just want to take back some control for myself. And I realize that that's really a pipe dream. Like, again, I'm streaming using fucking Comcast to a Google platform, but I'm gonna do it one step at a time. What do you suggest for somebody who's looking to create a company on a single idea alone? Ideas don't mean shit. They really don't. Implementation means everything. Your idea is meaningless without a good implementation. So, I mean, the first problem here is that you haven't really given me enough information to be able to give you any real advice. I have no idea what kind of company this is. Also, the main thing that matters when you're creating a company is, do people actually want to pay for whatever it is that you're offering? Again, what a lot of people do is they say, I want to do this. I want to make this. I want to provide this service. But at the end of the day, do people actually care? Like, I wanted to be a recording studio gear fixer, but nobody cared. And all those studios went out of business. And like, if I had done what I really wanted to do, I would be broke and bankrupt. What people actually wanted was liquid damage MacBook repair. And I remember telling my parents when I was an edgy teenager, when they said, you should do something with computers, I remember looking at them dead in the eye and saying, I would rather kill myself than fix computers for a living. That was what I said when I was 16, 18 years old. I would rather kill myself than fix computers for a living. I really, really, really wanted to be either a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist, or I wanted to be an audio engineer. Like designing loudspeakers, figuring out why does the TLCS 3.7 sound better than the TLCS 3.6, and how can we make the TLCS 3.8 better? Why does the Vandersteen Model 3 sound great, and how can we get that into a cheaper product for our customers? Like that type of thing. Why do phase coherent loudspeakers sound better if they do to end users? Stuff like that. I didn't want to, fix broken computers. I never wanted to do that. But the reality is that was where the money was. That was what people needed. So that's what I did. And I said, here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to offer the world. And the world said, we don't care about this. But here's this other thing that we care about, and we're willing to pay you for it. Steam works on Linux. It does, but it's not the same. Like I said, again, it does work on Linux. It's just it works like shit by contrast to what I get on Windows. I did a few videos on that Combat Wombat about Toyota. Let's see. Yeah, I'm using the official NVIDIA driver for Linux. The open source Nova one is dog shit. I don't blame the people that make it because NVIDIA does not give them what is required for them to make a proper driver. They're really just trying to reverse engineer this and pull it out of their ass when they have no information. And I respect them for doing that, but it doesn't change the fact to the end user that it sucks. The NVIDIA driver also sucks. AMD is better, but the problem is that, good luck, so much of the world runs on NVIDIA. Like, I was thinking of getting rid of my RTX 2080 that I had on my desktop at home and getting an AMD card. My RTX 2080, 3 years and 2 months after I bought it, is selling used for $650 more than I bought it new. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Where do I donate for tights to repair? I somehow missed that. I would help somebody that you know fix something so that they could experience the joy and the happiness of repair. And when they do, they will tell everybody they know, and we will be one step closer to a world where we do not have to lobby or deal with any of this in order to be able to fix the things that we own. Like, again, I have enough money to do lobbying in a bunch of states as it is, and what I'm really interested now is in, like, and the culture has to change behind it so that the lobbying actually has some teeth to it. Have you heard of Arch Linux? I have. It strikes me as a meme, similar to Gentoo Linux. I've never used it, but I did use Gentoo for 12 years, and I spent 12 years of my life on a meme, and I never want to spend years of my life on a meme again. I don't know. Something about Arch just kind of seems memey to me. I can't tell you what it is.
Sweet mercy.
Thank you, Logan. I work in higher ed. 80% of our devices are incompatible with Windows 11 will be bricks in 2025 and Win 10 end of lives. Does it really matter if Windows 10 end of lives, like, will you stop using it? Is there a ticking time bomb? Does it all turn off or whatever? I don't know. I guess there's the lack of security updates. That probably matters if it's a school. But then again, I mean, if it's like an elementary school, what are you going to hack in an elementary school? You're going to be, somebody's going to be able to see what little Timmy made as a screensaver. I don't think. I'm wanting to create my own Sega Arcade Model 3 board emulator to play a specific game I love. However, I cannot find a schematic for that specific green board anywhere. Life brings down a firewall whenever I take a step. Yeah, it's the whole not being able to find a schematic for things is why I'm very hesitant to work on other devices. It's very frustrating when you have nothing to work with and people wonder why you're a total idiot with it. It's like, most people don't understand that we don't get access to any of that.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Starting fresh, where do I start to learn chip level repair? How much of it is skill versus knowledge? Well, with skill versus knowledge, I don't even really know. A lot of it is knowledge, but it's really, do you have the type of mind to deal with open-ended problems? Essentially, you need a detective's mindset. You need to be able to seek this stuff out. So for instance, when you say, where do I start? This is where I'm going to become an asshole. So I have a channel with 600 repair videos. And one of those is literally titled, Where Do I Start? You need to be able to find that without asking me. I'm not saying this to be mean, but the reason I'm saying this is because I've had this discussion with Jessa for 7 years. You need a detective's mindset. Above all else, it's not even skill or knowledge. You need a detective's mindset, a detective's approach to solving a problem in order to do well at this. That's what you need. I don't have a college diploma. I don't know a fucking Coulomb from Windows Cleaner. I don't know jack shit about electronics. Like, when it comes to like true electronics theory, I am clueless. I don't know how a transistor transist. I don't know how a resistor resists. I don't know what a Coulomb is. I don't know a fucking theory from a hole in the wall. But I have a detective's mindset, and that's what helps me when I'm reading a 70-page schematic to try to figure out where everything's going and solve a problem. Is there any chance if I buy a Leo battery produced in 2016 that is of any good for a replacement of a faulty battery today? What is Leo? I'm confused. Acronyms destroy my brain. My brain does not process acronyms. What is Leo? Steve has a cat named Leo. That was the kitty that I posted in my office 3 months ago. He's so cute.
Sweet mercy.
If I come to one of your repair workshops, you let me try to solder something. I don't have the equipment or knowledge to do it at present. 100%. Absolutely. Of course. We let anybody who wants to try to solder. You just have to sign a little piece of paper that says you won't sue me if you burn, you stick the iron in your dick or something. But because there's one dude that actually dropped the iron in his lap. Thank God he signed the fucking form. Because you know how bad that would have ended? He actually dropped it and it right here, straight. Oh, so close. But yeah, you're welcome to solder. I remember I was in the middle of answering something 3 questions ago, and I forget what it is, and I feel really bad now because I was in the middle of something good. Have you tested your smoke alarms? Not in this place, but I don't plan on it going on fire. I probably should after that Bronx fire. How do you test it? Like, do you get a lighter and just go under it and like? I imagine you have to start a fire. I forget where I was. I was in the middle of something good, and I completely forgot what I was talking about. I know, but it was too far away. What do you think of Steam Deck? I don't really care about it, to be honest with you. I don't really follow video games systems, so I get asked that a lot. It's just I don't care. It's not that I think it's a bad device. It could be a great device. It's just I don't care.
Sweet mercy.
It's like if you ask me what do I think of this particular brand of lawnmower, it's just, I don't really... It's not that it's bad, it's just I don't care. Speaking of operating systems, you can install the new Steam Deck OS, speaking of something I don't care about, on anything x86 64. Nothing will stop you from turning your gaming PC into a console. I imagine that my lack of skill at video games would stop me right there. Audio shrink. What do you think about the new DA who refuses to prosecute crimes? Well, that's an excellent question. I wonder. This is how I can tell that that nobody actually sees my content.
Sweet mercy.
Fuck you, algorithm. How are you doing on this fine day? I'm doing lovely, and it's honestly hard for me to go to sleep because I'm very excited about putting together this new space here that I have. This new little apartment. So I have a video that I did on this new DA, and it probably did not show up in anybody's feed. Fuck you, algorithm. But yeah, it's very interesting when I get questions like that are answered by videos that were on the front page of my channel for 3 days. Marry Erica? Sure, when the laws change, and don't destroy men that get divorced. Do you use the return YouTube dislike add-on? I did. What do you think of it? I don't think there's anything to think of it. Yeah, there's not really anything to think of it. No lighter. There should be a button on smoke detector to perform a test. Oh, I don't trust that bullshit. Hell no. I hit a button. I don't give a fuck about hitting a button because I don't want the thing to go off when I hit a button. I want it to go off when it goes on fire. What if it makes a noise when I press it, but then there's an actual fire and it doesn't work? As somebody who's been in some ways a technology professional for the past 13 or 14 years, you never assume that something works until you test it under the exact same circumstances that you intend to use it in, especially for disaster recovery. Disaster recovery or backups, if you have a system and it says if 2 drives fail, everything will still work, the only way that I would test that system is to fill it up, take 2 drives out while the thing is on, and see if I can still access it. If I can, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The only way that I'd feel comfortable testing that shit is by having a fire right next to it. Maybe I'll do that outside. I'll set a fire outside and I'll put the smoke alarm next to it. But I'm not pressing it. What's the point of pressing the button? I don't know. $20.80 is a beast. Yeah, I have a 20. I got it with a coupon code. So my $20.80 actually comes with a water block and 2 by 120 millimeter radiator. And I like it. It's a decent little all-in-one system. Set your apartment on fire to ensure it works. Exactly. How else are you going to tell? Do you support a carbon tax? It seems like a decent way to make a market for making things cleaner. Because I don't really understand most of the libertarian solutions for the environment and climate change. And maybe it's just because I'm ignorant, but I don't see how they work. I'm not an ideologue. I think I'm libertarian leaning, but not a complete ideologue. I've heard things that involve insurance where if a certain area is polluted to a certain extent, then they would, pay to remove you or whatever. But insurance a lot of the libertarian solutions require insurance, and insurance at its core is a scam. So that I don't know how that works. Because the person who is writing the insurance contract is the person that insures you, who is the person that gets to choose how they interpret that contract, which makes it a fundamental conflict of interest that makes it impossible for me to believe it, that they'll actually ever pay out. In fact, the first instance of insurance, the person actually got sued. In the first instance of insurance that was ever done. And I'd read it, but I'm pretty sure if I try to read it, I'll get distracted in the next 8 seconds. And there's also 3 questions from before, and one of them I think I didn't answer properly. What is this? Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Today I learned that the first insurance policy was written in 1583 in London. It was for a term of 1 year. The insured died on day 364. The company underwriting the policy then tried to weasel out by claiming that they meant a lunar year, 12 months of 28 days each. They lost and had to pay out. Insurance was literally a scam from the very beginning. Insurance was a scam from day one, man. Literally day one. So, like, again, I don't believe in insurance. I believe that insurance is a giant fucking scam. And if there was anybody that was willing to redo it so it is not a scam, I would be open to trying it. But yeah,
Oh, sweet mercy.
no lighter. It doesn't detect heat. It detects smoke. Okay, so I need smoke then. So how do you? Well, isn't there a saying? I think where there's smoke, there's fire. So if I create a fire, I got to create a fire. I don't think the landlord will be happy. I hope she's not watching this. If she's watching this, she's probably nervous. What the hell is Hi Hi doing at 5 in the morning? Hi Hi, are you up at 5 in the morning?
Oh, sweet mercy.
Do you own an air fryer? I don't know what that is. There's a test button. I don't trust the button. That doesn't tell me that it's gonna go. That it's actually gonna detect heat or smoke when there's a fire. You push the little test button. Yeah, I don't trust it. I just don't trust it. Yeah, I'm sorry. The only way that I trust it, I test things in the manner in which I intend to use them. If you have a bodybuilder and you want to test whether or not that bodybuilder can bench press 315 pounds, do you press a button on him or do you ask him to lift the 315 pounds? Just like, I'm not going to trust a button. No, I'm gonna set a fire. If I'm going to test the thing, I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to set a little bonfire outside. I'm going to walk it over. I'm going to see what happens. Does it beep? If it does, I keep it. If it doesn't, I toss the shit out and I get a new one. Are you in a UT5 zone? What the fuck is UT5? Why are you with your damn acronyms? Don't mother me. There's nothing less attractive than mothering. I just saw your recent video about why Erica stopped doing dumpster diving. I'm sorry that happened to her. You can get a taser in New York thanks to the Supreme Court. Please consider it. If we're being honest with ourselves, if Erica had a taser, she'd probably wind up getting it stolen from her and then tased herself. I had her come to some martial arts classes with me back when I was taking martial arts classes, but she only went to one and she never came back, which kind of made me sad. I was hoping that she would go to the classes regularly because one of my martial arts instructor, he has like a 115-pound woman that goes to it, and somebody tried to like rape her in a parking lot, and she kind of played along for like 8 seconds and then wound up choking him and almost to death. Do you work out at home or gym and still same routine now in New Hampshire? Dude, I moved. I literally have nothing in this apartment. Like, I don't have a workout routine. Look, like I have a pot. Like, I have a pot. I have conditioner, dish soap, a spatula, a sponge. Like, there's no gym, man. I literally just got here. I don't even have a fucking chair. I'm standing because I don't have a chair or a desk. I don't have these things. Like, I just arrived here. I drove here, I opened the door, and I took some shit in from my car. I have some eggs and butter in the refrigerator, and that's about it. So I can make a breakfast. Work in a repair shop. It's morning. Sending you our specs. Specs? What am I going to do with specs? Don't test smoke detectors by smoking them. They're only designed to deal with that so many times. Use the test button. I don't buy that. It doesn't make sense to me. You're testing the circuit and not the sensor. Yeah, you're scaring me here. What if I hit the button right now? Actually, I can't reach the button.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Oh, fuck, I gotta go back here again. While the chair does not a stream make, here with a minuscule donation towards said chair, to help to make the stream more complete. Thank you, Lawrence. Okay, let's see if can I hit the button. 1 second. I'm too short. Oh shit. I didn't hit the button, but I popped out the battery. I think I made it worse. Oh fuck.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. Well, I tried, but I made it worse. I popped the battery out of it, so now it doesn't actually work. And I'm too short to reach up there. So that's that. That's that. Rip. No more smoke alarm. That was a bad idea. I don't have a broom or a stick. Because I have a pot, but the pot isn't long enough to make it up there. I don't want to jump because somebody lives downstairs. So I could jump, but it's 5 in the morning and somebody lives downstairs. So that seems like that would be very inconsiderate of me.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Please buy a proper 6-kilogram, 13-pound fire extinguisher. Every home should have one. I just want to have a window that I can jump out of if there's some sort of fire. Buy a chair. I don't have a chair. I literally have no way to... I have no way to reach that. I made it worse. I should have done nothing at all. Let's see. I need to be able to touch that, but I can't jump because... Yeah, let's see. You gotta plug it back in. Yes? Yeah. It's in the morning, so starting a fire alarm is okay, but jumping is not. Don't test it if it's 5 in the morning and you have neighbors, it's very loud. You know what, I'll test it tomorrow. Lewis can't jump. You're right, I can't jump. If I jump at this time of night, I'll wake my neighbors. That's not very nice of me. The button is press and hold. Yeah, I'm not gonna... Don't test the smoke. Wait until after 7.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Don't test the smoke alarm at 5 a.m. even if it's networked to the others in the building. You'll piss the neighbors off. Yeah, fuck listening to chat. Next. I appreciate it. I'll test it when I'm not going to wake my neighbors. How much are you looking forward to a more car-dependent life? Oh, I'm honestly looking forward to it quite a bit. I'm quite tired. Honestly, I don't... Here's the thing. Using a car doesn't suck when you're outside of New York. Like, again, in New York City, how do I get around? I get around on a bike where I'm constantly in fear that a pedestrian is going to run in front of it. I'm constantly in fear of overcook some eggs and see if something goes off. No, it's too late. I'm constantly in fear of getting hit by a car. I'm constantly in fear of some other cyclist doing something stupid and banging into me because they don't believe in red lights at all. Like, it's not just like, okay, we'll go through the red because there's nobody there. They're just like, oh, you're there going through it? Well, let's just play a game of chicken with you and go through, and I'm going to go through this red even if it kills you. I really don't care. I don't care about having a more car-dependent life. Honestly, the idea that while I'm traveling to some place that I'm not going to be freezing or boiling because I'm inside something that actually has climate regulation, honestly, I could get used to it. I really could. I don't mind it, you know. Like, in the train system in New York City is some of the most depressing shit in the world. It looks like garbage. There's no light. Everybody is miserable. It's dirty. It's filled with rats. It's crowded. It looks like shit. It feels like shit. I'm very happy to be done with the train system. It's very slow. It's very unreliable. Fuck the train system. Now, you can take a bike around, or an e-bike. But again, if you take a bike and it's the middle of summer or the middle of winter, like when it's 25 degrees, being on a bike gets old in 25 degrees. Being on a bicycle gets old when it's 92 degrees outside, you know? I'm okay with a phase of my life where I use a car a little bit more. Now, again, if I was in an area with insane traffic, I would not be. If I was in, like, again, driving a car in New York City is one of the most painful experiences on earth when it comes to travel. But driving a car here is actually very relaxing. It really is. It's like I never thought of driving to be something that's kind of just therapeutic or that allows me to relax. But when you have beautiful scenery, when you have a river along the side of the road and you know, you see lakes and you see trees and nature and all this other stuff, and you're just driving right through it. It's kind of beautiful, honestly. Maybe it'll get old with time. Maybe it's just because it's new, but I don't hate it at all. Louis, do you still have your repair shop? No, I don't. I gave it to Tim Cook. I gave the keys to Tim Cook before I left. Is there a reason for your comments? Truth. Does the OSI model matter to you? No, I'm too stupid to know what that is. Do you know where I could buy Bafang parts? California e-bike. Ask that dude. There's a cool guy that runs that company. But if you're looking for stuff like, you know, I need the rotor, or I need the stator, or I need the nylon gear, or I need that little thingy that rotates in the inside, you're really gonna be just like, you know, piecemealing it together from a bunch of different websites based on what they have in stock at the time. Any update in your experience using the framework laptop? Nope. Nope. What would you change in the MacBook Air's design? Everything. Liquid resistance. What is your opinion on New Hampshire housing and/or right to repair? Yes. How will you make a living? Yes. You watch David Pakman. I feel less bad now knowing that people butcher and horribly misspell other people's names other than my own.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Long-time listener, please consider trying to interview Richard Hart, creator of Hex. What is Hex? Richard Hart Hex. What is this? Richard Hart Pulse Axis Live. What is this? Oh, this is some crypto shit? The world's first high-interest blockchain certificate of deposit. Yeah, I'm just not. I'm not. You're asking the wrong guy. I appreciate it, but I really. I see. Yeah, I'm the wrong person for this. See if Hart is also a renowned keynote speaker and Hart has gained recognition for offering his expert advice to viewers, helping them from falling for scams. That's a good thing, especially in crypto. Again, most of crypto is just kind of one giant consensual Ponzi scheme. Richard Hart is a serial entrepreneur, author, YouTuber, and philanthropist. He's the founder of Hex, the world's first high-interest blockchain certificate of deposit and pulse chain network. What the fuck is a pulse chain network? Yeah, I don't know. Most of this crypto stuff is not my thing. I appreciate it, and thank you, but... The hardware level, you said the OSI is not that important.
Oh, sweet mercy.
I didn't say that. I said I don't really understand it. What is the fundamental principle of electronic components that you find most important? I don't remember saying that OSI is not that important. I just said I don't really understand or care about it. I don't always agree with you, but I think you do a great job. Keep it up. Thank you, John. It's about time for me to get out of here. I get to wait home all day for deliveries. It's going to be very boring. Very boring. Okay. I'm out of here. See you all later. This is fun. It's good to know that if I only stream at a bit rate that is 10% of what my actual rated upstream is, that it actually works. Thank you, Comcast, for making this possible.